if the you thing happened at the South Pole and the 24-hour sun was seen, would that convince you the Earth was a globe?
Yeah, it would be a major problem for flat Earth for sure. I've said that on record 100 times.
Okay, no, I was just wondering. Do you think that is the position of the majority of flat earthers?
Yeah,
Jaren, do you agree that that is the position of the majority of flat earthers? That if the 24-hour sun was confirmed, that that's a problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think I need to see it. That's
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for another video. Today it's actually a very special video and one I'm extremely excited for. I have with me the creator of the final experiment. Will, hello, welcome to the channel. How are you?
Great, Craig. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
No, I'm excited to have you here because ever since I received that first email, I've been very interested in your project, and now that you've revealed who you are and what it is, I really want to help push this because it's very important for both sides, especially as a lot of flat earthers have outright stated that if they see the thing that you're intending to take them to see, then they will 100% think that the Earth is a globe. But why don't you just take a minute and, in your own words, explain the project, how you came up with it, and what you aim to get out of this?
Yeah, definitely. So it was about almost 3 years ago when I learned for the first time. I know a lot of people have known this for a while, but when I learned for the first time that the flat Earth position is kind of alive and well. Not only is it alive and well, it's also growing. And so that was kind of shocking to me. So I started looking into it, and before I knew it, I was knee deep in all of the debates and the videos and everything else. And yeah, it just was intriguing to me. Also a little bit, shocking. And what I noticed was that there didn't seem to be a lot of progress, one side or the other. I didn't see people changing their mind. I mostly saw people that were just, steadfast in their position and not necessarily, they didn't at least come across as too interested in changing their position when provided with evidence. And I would say that I saw that on both sides. And so what I decided to do, this is my personality, by the way, and this could very well be a personality flaw. But my personality is I like to do things that are big. I like to do things that people say can't be done. And so one day I just had an idea and I was like, man, what if I could come up with an experiment that would just end the debate, that would just settle it? And once I had that idea to just come up with an experiment, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I didn't know what it would be, but that's when I came up with it. And so I thought about a lot of different things. I thought about, private space travel, and I realized that that probably wouldn't work. They actually don't go very high in the current private space travel, and I'm not exactly sure what you would see up there and if that would be convincing. It's also very expensive. I considered Southern Hemisphere flights because those originally were denied by flat earthers as being real. They would state that the Southern Hemisphere flights would always travel through the Northern Hemisphere before getting to their destination, and they would kind of show how that made sense on a Gleason map versus the globe. But then I think, a flat earther actually went on a Southern Hemisphere flight and said, no, it was a nonstop flight. We didn't go through the Northern Hemisphere. And so I think the current position now is that those flights travel more of a circular route, more of an arc in order to get, jet streams to travel the distance they need to go. So I really spent a lot of time on Southern Hemisphere flights and on figuring out which flight we could take. We could get a bunch of people on it from both sides and kind of see where it goes, which direction it goes, how fast it travels, etc. And there was just problems that I saw there too. What if, we don't have window seats, or there's clouds, or, what if we can't track our direction with a compass on the plane? All kinds of problems, how are we going to account for jet streams? And then one day I was watching an interview. A guy was interviewing Flat Earth Dave, who I'm sure your audience is familiar with, David Weiss.
Yeah.
And he mentioned
Excuse me.
something about the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And what he said was important. He said that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica doesn't work on a flat Earth. And he pretty much said it would prove the globe. And when I heard him say that, I realized in that moment that there is actually agreement from both sides. So the globe side says that if the Earth is a globe, there's a 24-hour sun due to the tilt of the Earth. And then here, Flat Earth Dave is essentially saying the same thing. If there's a 24-hour sun that doesn't work on a flat Earth, it means we live on a globe. And I said, okay, this would be the most important foundation for the final experiment, is having agreement from both sides as to if X, then Y. If there's a 24-hour sun, then there's a globe. Now, in fairness, I've never been to Antarctica. And so I realized, I've never been there. Is there a 24-hour sun? There's videos of a 24-hour sun online, but those videos have edits in them. And it's all just kind of messy. And so that's how I came up with this. I said, all right, let's just go down there. Let's take a trip down there. Let's take flat earthers, let's take globe earthers, and let's just see what happens in the sky. And so that's how I came up with this idea. I will also mention this. I, by coincidence, was in Nashville, Tennessee last year at the same time that there was a big flat earth debate between Greg Locke and Dean Odell. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, so I was in Nashville, and so I said, okay, I have to go to this thing. So I went there in person for that debate. And in that debate, Dean Odell actually challenged Greg Locke, and he said, if we want to, essentially prove this once and for all, he said, you and I just need to go spend a week in Antarctica and see if the sun does a 360 above our heads. And then Dean Odell said, if it does, the Earth is a ball. And so that was kind of like just the confirmation I needed that this is the final experiment that we need to do. And so it was essentially boots on the ground at that point, full steam ahead. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, he's not the only flat earther with that opinion either. Got on camera, Jeranism, straight up saying that if that happens, the Earth's a globe. Austin Whitsitt danced around the answer, but he at least said that it would be a big problem for the flat Earth. So yeah, I think you're right. It is an amazing opportunity to actually put a nail in the flat Earth. Or if it turns out that there's no 24-hour sun, I guess the globe, right? And we all have to apologize to the flat earthers and admit that we were wrong.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to be doing, because as I mentioned in my reveal video on our channel, I am a glober. I do believe we live on a globe, but yeah. I want to do this so that at least I can know for myself once and for all the truth. One thing I'm going to be doing is asking people, how confident are you in your position? So it sounds like you're not changing your position at all now that we're going to test it, right? Your position has been there is a 24-hour sun and you're sticking with it?
Yeah, that is the position that I hold. That there is a 24-hour sun, the Earth is a globe, everything we're told about the Earth is true. However, that doesn't mean that I'm not open to new evidence changing my position. And if you went down there with whoever goes and failed to find the 24-hour sun, I'd have to question things.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. That's exactly right. That's kind of that is the point of science. That is the point of doing experiments, is to test hypotheses. And so we're going to be testing a pretty big one down there.
Yeah, awesome. So tell me a bit more about the project. How do you plan on accomplishing actually getting down there? What companies are you using? What kind of budget are you looking at? Who are you thinking of taking?
Yeah, so that was an interesting journey. I did not know how many companies are out there that actually take you to Antarctica, and it was more than I had originally expected. So I started making a list of every company I could find that takes tourists to Antarctica, and there's quite a few. They originate in different parts of the world. They originate in different countries. They headquarter in different countries. And the first thing I found was that most of the companies that go to Antarctica do it with boats. So essentially cruises and things of that nature. And that is actually the least expensive way. It's the most affordable way to get to Antarctica is a cruise. But I quickly realized that would not work for the final experiment because when you go by boat, you can really only go as far as the ice of Antarctica. And so you don't get very far south, and you stay on the boat the majority of the time. And if the goal is to be observing what's above our head, the sun, that's not going to work very well when we're inside of a boat. And so there wasn't really a feasible way that I could come up with to do it with a cruise. So then that led me to the companies that actually fly tourists to Antarctica. And there's a handful. One of them doesn't land. So that's interesting. They fly to Antarctica, they kind of fly around, and then they return. I believe they go in and out of Australia. And so that wouldn't work. We actually need to land and be there. And so that narrowed it down to the couple companies that actually have ice runways in Antarctica. They have campsites where you can stay. And I found Antarctic Logistics and Expeditions. They go by ALE for short. They have a very long history. They have had continuous flights to Antarctica since 1987. Now, when I say continuous, it's not like your local airline that has flights every day, but it means they fly tourists there every year. So the most popular time to go is in the southern summer, which is in December, because that's going to be A, when it's the warmest down there, and B, obviously that's when you'll be able to observe the sun and see what it does. Now, it's actually a bit warmer than people would expect. It's not just like, frigid temperatures that'll kill you. It's the average temperature in Antarctica in the summer, in December, is actually around 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's
we are
definitely
below freezing, but not gonna die being outside for 2 minutes freezing.
That's right. That's right. And so it's exciting. So we're going to be using ALE. They do a lot of fun things for people that want to go to Antarctica. So, for example, they do, I think they do skydiving, they do cross-country skiing in Antarctica, mountain climbing, all kinds of different options that people can do. So if anybody is interested just in the future in going to Antarctica, they're a good company to look into.
Okay. What kind of a budget are you looking at? And are people having to, if they wanted to go or if you chose them to go, how would their funding of that part of the expedition go ahead?
Yeah, so as we mentioned in our last video, we are going to be paying for one flat earther and one globe earther to go.
Right.
And we're going to be doing some polling on our channel to see who the fans would like to go. But we're kind of going to leave it up to the participants themselves and see kind of who wants to go. So one person from each side will be covered. And then if you want to go and pay your own way, the cost is about $31,500 per person.
Right.
And that includes the flights and the lodging while you're there and food and everything else. It is expensive, but it's actually a really good deal when you look at how expensive it is to fly into
Yeah.
Antarctica. And this is important as well, is that that price is not marked up. That's the price if you were to just go with ALE on your own, and no money will ever be paid to the final experiment. I've heard of different things that have happened in the past with, flat earthers and globe earthers where, possibly money was stolen
Yeah.
or
It needs
taken.
to be
So
above
yeah,
board as much as possible. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And so nothing will ever be paid to us. If you do want to sign up, you can contact us. We'll connect you with our contact at ALE. You can sign up with them, and all funds will go directly to them.
But for that, obviously, that is for people outside of the two that will be chosen. So just to clarify, there will be one globe earther and one flat earther whose all expenses will be covered to go to Antarctica for however long the experiment takes. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. And it will be 5 days in Antarctica. And the reason this is important is we know for sure there will be at minimum one flat earther and one globe earther there. And anybody else that signs up will just be a bonus.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm a globe earther and I would very much like to go. However, I have some health issues at the moment, which means that I would have to take myself out of the running for actually going to Antarctica. I'm having surgery on both my legs. I may even be having my left leg completely amputated. So I'm physically not in a position to go. However, I do want to support the project in any way possible. That's why I'm interviewing you today. That's why I want to make this known to everybody. I want big awareness around this, but I want to be on the scoreboard for globe earthers that are involved in this project, and I hope that there will also be a bunch of flat earthers that would like to interview you and stuff as well. But yeah, no, I couldn't go. It's an amazing opportunity. I would absolutely love to, but I couldn't. There's some extremely knowledgeable globers, especially with photography, that I think would be an excellent candidate, like Dave McKeegan. Obviously, Simon Dan probably has the biggest following, and that would be nice to have those kind of numbers behind it. So, yeah, I really hope that some worthy candidates are put forward. Have you got any preferences as to anyone in particular you would like to go?
I do, but I'd rather leave this up to kind of the fans on each side.
Yeah.
So we'll see who everybody wants. I have my suspicions of who people will want, just kind of based on how the size of their following. And yeah, I'm excited to see. And again, this interview count as your official participation in the final experiment. And so I will update the scoreboard and give you a shout out on our channel.
1-0, get in there. I do hope that flat earthers will step up. The problem is that there has been kind of authors before to do big experiments, and flat earthers are very reluctant to step up and do it. And I feel like there's the problem of flat earthers don't want to prove that the Earth is a globe, because then they'll lose their grift. So I really hope that some big flat earthers like Jeranism or Dave Weiss step up and take this opportunity to go and do the final experiment and settle this debate once and for all.
Yeah, I will tell you, I've watched a ton of Jaren's videos. I've watched a ton of Austin's stuff.
I'm
a
sorry.
ton of Flat Earth Dave stuff. And I actually think they're genuine. I think they actually believe that we live on a flat Earth, and hey, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to find until we get to Antarctica, and I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's very important that the community gets involved in as much as possible. I think that you will happily accept any suggestions to make the experiment better. I mean, I've got a few things that are going around in my head, but I want to get the thoughts completely clear before I make my suggestions. But if anyone does have any suggestions or that they want to get involved, what would be the best way for them to contact you to put that forward?
Yeah, there's a contact us button on our website. Our website is thefinalexperiment.com, but there's hyphens between the words the final experiment. I think the other domain was taken. Just
That'll all be in
contact
the
us through our
description
website.
below. So,
Okay,
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited, and I hope that everyone else that sees this video gets excited for settling this debate. However, I do have a bit of a bone to pick with you. Why are you trying to kill my channel?
Hey, sorry, man. I've got big ideas, and I've got to pursue them.
No, if you do the final experiment and disprove the flat Earth, who am I going to debate? I'm going to have to go to moon landing deniers and people that think chemtrails are real.
I think there'll always be people to debate.
Yeah, well, Einstein did say that there's two things in the universe that are infinite. One of them is human stupidity, and one is the universe, and we're not sure about the universe.
Great line.
Yeah. Is there any questions you've got for me about the final experiment? Anything that you'd like me to do or get involved in any way apart from doing this interview?
No, this is great. I'll keep monitoring your channel, and if you or any of your audience has ideas, I will take them into consideration for sure.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we need. I want to say thank you. Well, I know it's very early for you there, so thank you for getting up and doing this interview the crack of dawn. Once again, guys, this is Will Duffy. He is the creator of the final experiment, which is a fully funded trip to Antarctica for one globe earther and one flat earther to observe the 24-hour sun and settle the debate once and for all. Will, thank you very much for coming to my channel. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.
Fight the flock, 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 fight the flock.